What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? How y'all doing out there? Happy Monday, May 13th. Happy Music Monday. This is Jamaal, Boss Eagle Curry with Business-Minded Musicians, where we are about the business of music. So we're going to jump in to today's episode. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and just want to share this real quick. Boom, 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 boom. Sharing it on my phone. Right here, y'all see that? Oh, it's upside down. Funnel hacker. Whatever. How y'all doing? How are y'all doing? Live now. So we're gonna go ahead and share that. If you would like to go ahead and share this video as well, that would be awesome. That way we can reach as many independent musicians as possible with tips, tricks, resources, all that good stuff to help you be about the business of your music. So let me make sure this is sharing. And I think we are good. So we're going to jump in today. Like I said, hope y'all having a great Monday. Hope you're having a fantastic music Monday. It's that time of year where shows start to pick up and everything too. I know I'm starting to get a lot more stuff on the calendar as well. So I'm super excited to get out there and just be hitting the stage a lot this summer. And I hope you've got that scheduled for yourself and your band as well. But in the midst of that, make sure that you are taking care of your business. Make sure you're handling all your stuff right. So that when you get out there, it just makes the process smoother and simpler for everybody that you're dealing with, from talent buyers to everything else. So I'm going to jump right in today. Today we're talking about collecting music royalties and making sure you get all your music royalties. And again, here at Business Minded Musicians, that's what we're all about, is about the making sure that we're about the business of music. It's so important for us as independent artists, as DIY musicians, that we make sure that we're handling those things either ourselves, or we have someone else, like a loved one or a friend or somebody. If you're not, signed to a label or those types of things. Something you'll learn about me a little bit is, I'm not necessarily anti-record label, but I am kind of anti the old model in terms of, just kind of the old way. And I think a lot of people still get kind of stuck in that and thinking that the only way to be successful or whatever is to have a record deal, which is not true. It might be a little bit more work up front, but it'll be so much sweeter on the back end when you still own all your masters and your publishing and all that good stuff too. But it does take us putting in that work and putting in that elbow grease, you know what I'm saying, to make sure that we're handling our business and doing what we got to do on the business side of our music. So I've got a link in the description here. Today I'm just kind of briefly touch on, this is not going to be a super long video because I want you guys to go and check out this blog post, and it's entitled "How to Get All Your Music Royalties, ASCAP, BMI, PRS, SoundExchange, PROs, and the rest." And this was most recently updated on May 9th, so just 4 days ago, 2019. Like I said, I've got a link in the description here. And this was actually written by Ari Herstand. This is on his blog, Ari's Take, which, if you're not familiar with Ari's Take, you need to become super familiar with not only Ari's Take, the blog, but also Ari Herstand. Dude is cooler than the other side of the pillow. I've actually met him a couple times. I met him the first time was actually during the ASCAP Expo about 2 years ago, just over 2 years ago, in 2017, out in LA. I'd actually bought his book like right before that, and I was like, oh snap, like dude is here and everything too. His book is called, see if I have it up there. I got it around here somewhere. It's like that thick. I mean, that book is legit, and it's called How to Make It in the New Music Business. And this dude pulls no punches. I mean, it took him, I think, like 2 or 3 years to write that book. So check that out. Make sure you grab yourself a copy of that too. because it'll change things for you, you know, as far as your music, especially if you're wanting to take this serious and you're maybe a little bit more than, you know, want to be a hobbyist musician, which there's nothing wrong with, but that's probably not what we really deal with here at Business Minded Musicians. We're dealing more with folks who want to start to really earn revenue and make a living with their music. But again, the title of the article, the blog, is called How to Get All Your Music Royalties, ASCAP, BMI, PRS, SoundExchange, PROs, and the rest. And one of the first things that's really cool is he has this diagram right here called the Artist Royalties Flow Chart, which I think is just, it's super cool because it actually breaks it down into about 5 different sections: TV and radio, bars, etc., digital radio in the US, and then you have all your streaming outlets, TV shows, movies, commercials, video games, and then union commercials. And so he talks about, you know, kind of how basically the sound recording flows through all 5 of these, and then kind of who collects. So on the back end for TV, radio, bars, etc., you have neighboring rights organizations. For digital radio in the US, you have SoundExchange. For the platforms of your distribution company or your record label. I'm with a digital distributor. I have my own record label that I collect. That's my copyright owner. And then TV shows, movies, commercials, video games, it's sync licensing company or the record label. Again, if you're with the label. And then union commercials is through SAG-AFTRA. So if you get a song that gets picked up for like a Toyota commercial or something like that, it's actually SAG-AFTRA that would collect for you. But it's really cool. It went right off the bat in this article. He talks about a 2015 report from the Berklee College of Music, which we're all probably familiar with Berklee. They found that anywhere between 20 and 50% of music payments don't make it to the rightful owners. Cobalt, which you guys are probably familiar with, Cobalt calculated that there are over 900,000 royalty streams per song, which is huge too, especially if you're putting out, you know, a lot of music and stuff. But it's just really really fascinating when you kind of go through this article and you start to read about just kind of how things are even set up. And really, as independent artists, as DIY artists, it's really kind of set up to kind of jack us a little bit. Like, it's not really set up, the system's not set up for us to be successful. Now it's getting better, but it's still not great. So that's why we really have to put a lot of emphasis on making sure that we're on top of these things so that we can get paid our all of our royalties. So you got to make sure you have your business structure set up. And a lot of times it doesn't take much to get these things done. One of the things that I admittedly I had not been doing in the past, but I've recently started doing, is registering I've been registering my performances and my set lists. I am a member of ASCAP, which is one of the PROs in the US. The 2 main ones are ASCAP and BMI, but there's also CSAC as well. But that's by invitation only, have to be accepted into that. But through ASCAP has a program called OnStage. And so what they allow you to do, what we should be doing as artists, is actually registering our set lists, because that's another form of way that we can get paid, as long as you are, you know, the songwriter. So which a lot of us tend to be, especially, you know, myself being a hip hop artist, I write my own music, I write my own songs. So I get the writer actually, and I'm the publisher too. So make sure you have your publishing set up as well. But it's really cool because Ari really breaks this down. I mean, he talks about like the difference between artists and songwriters. He talks about how the royalty structures break down for each kind of entity: artist, songwriter, publisher, who collects for who, all those things. And what's interesting is there's an interesting little blurb here in the beginning of the blog. He talks about why he makes the distinction between artists and songwriters. He says, the reason I'm putting quotes around artists and songwriters is because so many of us are both. I mean, many of us use these terms interchangeably. And back in the day, when labels started signing artists who also wrote their own songs, which at the time was quite unique, they put in clauses in the contract to limit the royalties they'd legally have to pay out to their newly signed artists/songwriters. One of these clauses is the infamous controlled composition clause. The major labels have always tried to screw artists out of money. They look out for their own best interests and use artists' ignorance and blind pursuit of fame to manipulate and deceive. This is part of the reason why so many established artists and songwriters have jumped ship from their major labels and major publishers and headed over to independent entities. So that just kind of gives you a little bit of a baseline of kind of, you know, what he's about and kind of where this is gonna go. I mean, it's not a slam, you know, like blog or anything like slamming the you know, the labels or anything like that, but it really is more educative for us as independent artists and making sure that we understand what we need to be doing so that we can protect our asset, which is, you know, our assets are our music, and our asset is, you know, our music catalog. So he goes through and breaks down the different definitions: artist, songwriter, sound recording, composition, PRO, and kind of gives explanations of them. Looks at ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, GMR, which is global music rights, and they're super exclusive, invite only PRO and people on their rosters like Bruno Mars, Drake, John Mayer, etc. And so, like I said, he just kind of goes through and talks a lot about, you know, all these different entities in these different areas. And so what I encourage you to do is to actually really go through this and read this. Take some time, take about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and actually go through this. I mean, it talks about sync licensing, companies and agents. I mean, like everything from SoundExchange to, I'm just kind of scrolling through this briefly here, guys, because you guys go check it out, guys and gals, and go read this. But even talking about how within certain organizations like SoundExchange, how they break up the royalties, how people get paid. You know, it's artist, copyright owner, and what they call session musicians. So they actually withhold 5% for backup players and session musicians. And so the artist royalties is really fascinating too. So you understand how artists get paid versus like being the songwriter and all those types of things. Who collects what? Why I think personally, it's good to be with a digital distributor. I use a digital distributor, and I pay for the kind of the premium submission, because then they also will register my songs too. So they take care of some of that admin stuff, even though I have my own publishing company and I can elect to have my publishing company name on there. They take care of the business of doing that for me. So it's like, it's cool. So that my whole album, you know, was registered by my digital distributor, and I didn't have to take the time to do that. So that's kind of nice too. You pay for it, right? So he talks about TV commercial residuals, like all kinds of stuff, how blanket licenses work. And this is a reason why, again, you want to be registering your performances. That's because of the blanket licenses that venues have to pay in order to use and to play music. And then he talks about how it gets broken down, like the weight of the song or the artist, and all these things. Like it's phenomenal. Mechanical royalties. Even talks about how to release cover songs legally. So I want you guys to go read this article. It's not super long. I mean, like I said, just give yourself a good 10-15 minutes so you can actually kind of digest some of the information, and then come back, you know, and read it again and really apply the things that make sense to where you are now. So just kind of take it step by step. You know, we always say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So if you know that you're not doing some of these things, just start with one thing. You know, if you have music that you've been putting out, let's say you've got some great content, but you've just been throwing it on SoundCloud, which, you know, I'm not trying to knock SoundCloud, but it's SoundCloud is not really suited for helping you, you know, propel and really helping you succeed on the business side. It can be a great place to kind of gain a cult following, but you can't interact. You know what I mean? Like you don't know who's streaming unless people send you a DM or a message. And you can, and the big thing is you can't get paid from SoundCloud, you know, unless people go find you in other places and you have your music in other places. But I would say first and foremost, you know, start with maybe getting with a digital distributor, you know, like DistroKid or CD Baby or TuneCore or something like that, handling some of those admin type things. And then, you know, also making sure that you're registered with a PRO. I think a lot of these digital distributors will also go ahead and just register you for the PRO. If you want to register through them, they might take care of that, you know, maybe for a small fee or something like that. But you can do it yourself too. Again, I'm with ASCAP, and it didn't take very long. So just handle kind of one of those things at a time. Kind of set on your mind on one thing, take care of that, and then, you know, do the next thing, take care of that. Then, you know, SoundExchange, take care of that. You know, do all those things so you can start collecting your royalties. He did mention. I want to see if I can find that. There was a blurb in here that he talked about a person who like wasn't registered for SoundExchange. That's right. So he had a reader that wasn't registered for SoundExchange. He said, I encouraged one of his Ari's Take, which is blog, an Ari's Take reader and children's musician, Andy Mason, to sign up for SoundExchange. And the first check he got was for $14,000. Apparently, as the article says, Pandora had his songs included on all the most popular children's music radio stations, and he had no idea. Boom. Exclamation point. It says SoundExchange will hold your back royalties for 3 years, so register now if you haven't already. So SoundExchange was actually like holding on. They had $14K set aside for this dude that they had collected from Pandora, but he wasn't registered, so they didn't know where to send it. I also heard a story at the ASCAP Expo a couple of years ago that there was a guy that had contacted ASCAP for some other reason, like he was trying to get help in his account or something like that. Well, they realized that he was, I think he had publishing credit or he had some type of credits on like a big song, and literally, I kid you not, if my memory serves me correct, they had a $250,000 check waiting for the dude. And it had been like 6 or 7 years. It was something crazy like that. And he just happened to call to get help with something else. And because there was no direct deposit, there was no bank account, and there was no address, they didn't know where to send the check. They didn't know where to send the money. They just was collecting money. And then, I mean, imagine what he could have done in those like 6 or 7 years with that money. Imagine what you could do with 14 grand, you know, in terms of being able to cut another album, pay some session musicians, you know, all the things you could do. So make sure that you are collecting your royalties. Make sure you're taking care of your business. Start with one thing at a time, and then go to the next thing, go to the next thing. And you'll be on your way to being about the business of your music. So hopefully this video is helpful, guys. Go ahead and check out the article by Ari Herstand on the Ari's Take blog. Let me know if you have any questions. Go ahead and always leave a comment, drop below. If there's anything that you want to cover, if there's anything that you have questions about, you know, we'll see if, you know, maybe we can make a video about it. But let me know what you guys are struggling with, or what, you know, you're feeling like you don't understand about, you know, maybe technology or resources or what's out there that you want to use to advance your music. And we'll be tackling those issues hopefully each week as we do these videos, and I'll probably be doing some other more kind of how-to and training videos on the YouTube channel as well. So hope this was helpful for you guys. Have a great rest of your Monday. This is Jamaal, Boss Eagle Curry with Business Minded Musicians, and I'll see you in the next video. All right, peace.